And then the Prophet ﷺ said, the best thing that I and the Prophets have said on the eve of Arafah is, La ilaha illallah, wahdahu la sharika lah, lahul mulku wa lahul hamd, wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. Salama radiallahu ta'ala anha, she said that the Prophet ﷺ's hands went up at Dhuhr, he prayed, his hands did not come down once until Maghrib. So spend the entire time in dua. If you run out of du'as, make generic du'as, make the dhikr. This is the only day of the year that the Prophet ﷺ prioritized du'a to salah. Because Arafah technically starts at dhuhr. Okay? So you get there, you rest. When you get to Arafah, now you're on the 9th day of the Hijjah. This is the most important day of Hajj. This is the day of Arafah. Blessing of Allah that Arafah is the beginning of the Hajj. Seriously, because Arafah is the most important rukun, the most important pillar of Hajj. And the only thing you're going to do before that is rest. Get yourself ready. We have, in our tent, we have the Hajj convention, so we try to get all the mashayikh around, and we do like a nice reminder, and try to revitalize everyone, get everyone ready for the big day of Arafah. But it's really just to get in those tents and to rest and to spiritually and mentally prepare yourself and to get yourself ready. We tend to take off from Arafah from Mina to get to Arafah very early to beat the traffic as well. Just an important note at that point, bathrooms are going to be awful for the rest of Hajj. Awful. Okay? Long lines, heavy usage on the same bathrooms and so on and so forth. So you probably don't want to eat foods that are going to make you have to use the restroom. All right? Take something to hold your stomach if you want. Don't take the laxative by accident. It happens to some people where because you go to a pharmacy over there or whatever it is, and they just write you something or they throw you something your way, and instead of giving you something that's supposed to hold you, they give you something that makes you go. All right? Especially if they're angry with the Hujjaj for some reason. All right? But you don't want to eat foods that are going to make you go. You want to keep that in mind, inshallah ta'ala. Also, memorize your tent number, your location in Mina. People get lost in Hajj and it's a disaster. Mina all looks the same. So if you want to drop a pin, if you know how to do that, drop a pin. If you don't know what that means, then don't worry about it, inshallah. Just memorize your tent number. But drop a pin if you can. Know where you are in Mina, inshallah, just in case you get lost at some point so you can make it back to your tent. Now you're on the 9th day of the Hijjah. This is the most important day of Hajj. This is the day of Arafah. Now what we tend to do, we actually leave Mina early, like we pray Fajr and we're out. What does that mean, we pray Fajr and we're out? What that means is we're packed up and ready to go. We pray Fajr and you jump on the bus. Okay, why? Because you don't want to get stuck in traffic on the day of Arafah. We try to get to Arafah as early as possible and sleep and rest before Dhuhr. Because Arafah technically starts at Dhuhr. Okay? So you get there, you rest. When you get to Arafah, a lot of people try to go to the masjid in Arafah, to Masjid Namira. It's not a good idea. Leave it alone. Get to your tent, rest as much as you can, so that when the time of Arafah comes in, inshallah ta'ala, you are ready to go. This is the only day of the year that the Prophet ﷺ prioritized dua to salah. What does that mean? The sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is to pray Dhuhr and Asr as soon as Dhuhr comes in, combined and shortened, and then to spend the rest of the time making dua until Maghrib. All right? Why? Because this is the one day the Prophet ﷺ prioritized dua to salah itself. So as soon as Dhuhr comes in, there's going to be a small khutbah. There is Dhuhr and Asr prayed together, combined and shortened. And then a person is supposed to engage themselves in dua the entire day. Do not mess this day up. As it sounds simple, subhanAllah, but a few years ago, and I'm sorry if you're one of those people that's watching that or you're here, but I had to yell at my group because they were eating ice cream and hanging out in the tent like around Asr time on the day of Arafah. That's literally the most important block of hours in your entire life. You are closer to Allah at that moment than at any other time in your life. So spend the entire time in dua. If you run out of du'as, make generic du'as. Make the dhikr that's taught by the Prophet ﷺ. But the point is that just spend the entire time in dua. You know, subhanAllah, one of the most beautiful descriptions. Salama radiallahu ta'ala anha. She said that the Prophet ﷺ's hands went up at dhuhr, he prayed. His hands did not come down once until Maghrib. And she said we could see the armpits of the Prophet ﷺ from the way he was raising his hands. There is only one point that happened, which was that the Prophet ﷺ, some of the Sahaba didn't know whether it was sunnah to fast at Arafah while they're there or not. Because it's sunnah to fast at Arafah if you're not at Arafah. So they didn't know if they were supposed to be fasting or not. But the Prophet ﷺ, he literally was in his spot making dua and he wasn't moving. So finally, she went to him and she told the Prophet ﷺ that I think they're waiting to see if you're going to drink or eat or not. So the Prophet ﷺ, he took a cup of milk, he raised it up, the Sahaba saw it, he still had his hands raised, he drank from it, so they all drank and then he went back to his dua. That was the only interruption on the day of the Prophet ﷺ in Arafah, right? Just to show them that they shouldn't be fasting. So it's not sunnah to fast Arafah while you're there, it's sunnah if you're not there, okay? So don't waste a single moment of the dua of Arafah. Don't let some guide come and take you to a special place. Stay to your tent. All of it is Arafah. When I say stay to your tent, I don't mean inside your tent. Go around. But don't think that if I go to this mountain or if I go here, it's going to be more barakah. The Prophet ﷺ said, all of Arafah is Arafah. The entire plain is Arafah. Okay? So just where you are, inshaAllah ta'ala, listen carefully to the khutbah. Do your dhuhr and asr. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, the best thing that I and the Prophets have said from the eve of Arafah is La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah lahul mulku wa lahul hamd wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. He said that's the best form of remembrance, the best form of dhikr that can be made on the day of Arafah. What that means is if you have like a moment or you have some time, you're walking to the restroom, whatever it may be, you're walking to get some water, or if you're trying to think of what you want to make dua for next, constantly use those words, inshaAllah ta'ala, as transition points to keep yourself busy with dhikr throughout the day of Arafah. You don't have to go and look for congregational dua. Allah doesn't need you to sound nice or to rhyme or to make dua in Arabic. Focus on making your personal du'as in your own language, inshaAllah ta'ala, as you go through Arafah. And then once the sun sets, at that point the day of Arafah is officially concluded. Now you can stay in Arafah after that, but the day of Arafah is done. The sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is to pray Maghrib and Isha combined and shortened in Muzdalifah. Okay, so you don't pray in Arafah once Maghrib comes in. You'll wait until you make it to Muzdalifah. Muzdalifah is quite close to Arafah. It's not far away. But the Prophet ﷺ would make his way to Muzdalifah and he would rush to Muzdalifah. And Muzdalifah, subhanAllah, is just, it's unbelievable. It's a sight like no sight that you'll ever see. It's literally a sight of the Day of Judgment. It's unbelievable. It's just people packed, no accommodations on an empty plain, subhanAllah, and it's something else. It's something to experience, and it's something to see. It's horrifying to some people because there is no accommodation, subhanAllah. It's literally like arriving, it feels like you're arriving at the Day of Judgment, right? So you get there, people will have their spots if you're able to find a spot. So a lot of times, be prepared to not sleep on them. Honestly, some people don't even get to sleep on the night. I've been to Hajj multiple times. Annually, I can't think of a time that I slept in Muzdalifah. That's just me. I'm a light sleeper, right? But it's very difficult to find a spot. Literally, you just be crushed and there are feet on top of you, feet on your right, feet on your left, feet on your feet, right? It's just feet everywhere, okay? But it's a tough situation. The sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is to leave from Muzdalifah sometime after the sun sets. When you reach Muzdalifah, you face the Qibla. The dhikr is to say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Ahad, La ilaha illallah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Ahad, La ilaha illallah. He would pray Maghrib and Isha combined and joined. The sunnah, interestingly enough, on that night is to not do Qiyamul Layl. Okay? The Prophet ﷺ would pray witr and he would sleep. Why? Because the next day is a very busy day. The next day is a very busy day, so the Prophet ﷺ prioritized rest as well. At that point, a lot of people like to collect stones. It's convenient to collect stones. It's not particularly virtuous to collect stones in Muzdalifah. It just makes sense because in Mina, it's hard to collect stones. So if a person wants to go ahead and take their empty water bottles or their pouches or whatever, and they collect their stones at that point, inshallah ta'ala, for the Jamarat, then you could collect at least 80 small sized pebbles, and there are rocks everywhere, inshallah. And that can be done in Mina as well. It's just not as easy as it is in Muzdalifah. So remember, everyone sleeps on the ground outside. No matter what package you're in that's under $17,000, you're going to sleep on the ground. You're not going to have any accommodations. That's where that small yoga mat comes in handy.